Ah yes, the fabled Tower of the Planets Floor 5 video, where I spend over half of it working on Floor 4. Today's video is titled A Solar Eclipse and Mars the Bringer of War. The majority of this video will be focusing on building the ending of the Earth floor, which will be a section about the solar eclipse of April 8th, 2024, which I had the chance to see in totality. But like the video title also says, we'll be building Floor 5, which is what the last Tower of the Planets video was going to be, but then wasn't, because I instead did on-camera, off-camera building. But in addition to said on-camera, off-camera building, I also did some off-camera building. First of all, you probably noticed in the intro there, you saw Earth out here. I added that. Let's see, what else did I do? I added some parkour here between Venus and Earth, but this section's not quite done yet. I added that over there. That's where Mars is gonna go later in this video. I finished up the Earth floor mostly, so here's Machu Picchu, here's Taj Mahal, and Christ the Redeemer, but we're going to change the ending of this one a little bit, because currently it says this is the end for the time being. There's actually going to be more to the Earth floor than just visiting the 7 wonders of the world. We'll get to that, but perhaps most notably what I did off camera. See how the lighting in here looks terrible? Maybe not, because you have nothing to compare it to. How about now? See how that looks so much better? What just happened was the skybox changed, and even though you can't see it from in here, it actually does have an effect on the lighting. The skybox I changed it to is just like the default skybox, so I knew the solution to my problem was that I had to change the skybox during the tower, but I wasn't sure how to do that. I asked if there's a way to do that in the tower development channel in the SMToH Discord server, and the response I got was that it had to be a custom client object. So that's what I did. This is the first custom client object I've made that actually works. I'd like to present to you the Skybox Changer and Skybox Reverter. Now, I could have just, made an entirely new client object, completely from scratch, I guess, but what I did was I, integrated it into the system of the existing client objects, and more specifically, lighting changers. Well, okay, technically, lighting changer refers to only this, but I'm referring to all of these, it also changes, it can change color correction, blur. So every client object has a client object script, which is a module script, which is a type of script that will return a value, and so it's going to be referenced in some other script somewhere. But in the lighting changers, it's actually called lighting configuration, not client object script, but same thing. So what I found is that where those module scripts are referenced is in starter player scripts, local part script. This is a script included in the SMToH Tower Kit. So this is a script that makes all the client objects work. Well, the client object scripts also do that, but this is what references those module scripts. And conveniently, right at the top of here, or kind of the first main thing the code actually does, is this, which just so happens to be all the lighting changers. Any line I added that wasn't originally here, I added a comment that says this line was added by Roro. I wrote this long comment here that explains how I made this work. You can pause and read that if you want. If you want to do that though, it does reference line numbers, so here. Then what I did was in the lighting configuration scripts on the Skybox Changer and Reverter, I basically based it off of the existing ones here. See how the changer, it says type and what thing it's changing, and then the different properties? I did the same thing here. And the reverter script is almost exactly the same as the others. The only things I changed here is that this says sky, and I also changed the tween duration, so how long it takes to transition between them. Since it's a skybox, it's just an image that changes instantly, so I set it to 0. Relating to skyboxes is the first thing we're going to do in this video. So basically, the Mars floor, it's going to take up about this much space, and you're going to just go horizontally across here. But I want to change the skybox. Mars does have an atmosphere and a sky that isn't just this. So what skybox do I want to do? Let's go back to Obby Creator for a second. You'll see it's this skybox. This one is called Stormy Days. Last video, I went in depth on an explanation on how I was able to find the IDs for this. But a super short version is basically you go to the dev console by pressing F9 or typing /console in the chat. Go to memory, type texture, find graphics texture, and then near the top is where the skyboxes are going to be. It should be easy enough to find the skyboxes because they'll all have the first 5 or so digits are the same. For example, on the Stormy Days one, they all start with 15709. So just find a bunch of them that start the same, and it's probably that. And then just on a random part, add an image ID, and just basically make sure you get all of them that are unique images, that we don't have any duplicates. For example, these two are duplicates. I did something wrong. Let me find the texture I'm missing. There, I think I got it first try. Let's go. If you're wondering what this is a different similar skybox. It's the Dusty Cloud skybox, because somehow I got all of them and then put the pieces of the puzzle together here before I realized I was doing that for the wrong skybox. Whatever. But basically, I have all these IDs. Let me set my move snap to grid to 4, since that's the size of these parts, and then basically I need to put the puzzle together. I need to make a cross shape like this, and I'll know I've put the right two together because there won't be an obvious seam right there. Oh, well, it appears this shape works as well, right? Because these ones are going to be the sides, which Like, that would make sense why this edge connects to this one, as does this edge to this one. But we'll make it this shape. Yeah, this is basically the skybox unfolded. Now I need to go to Roblox Studio and figure out which one's like the front, which one's the back, which one's down, and so on. I'm doing this thing by placing them like with the cross in Obby Creator first. That should hopefully save time compared to what I was doing last video. Even though I cut most of it out, it was basically a tedious process of making sure it was all right. But since I know this one is down, let me copy this ID. Now I need to go to Lighting, Sky, and go find Skybox down. Paste in this ID. I took a screenshot of the ones that were there for the space skybox. That way I could put those back in, but I also have them listed here in the local part script, since this is sort of like the default settings I want to have for the skybox in Tower of the Planets, which is this skybox. Okay, now let's get the top one, which is going to be this one. Now that was the easy part. Now I got to find out like where the others go. Well, since this one connects correctly here and not elsewhere, as you can see, that's going to mean this one is the next one. So let me copy the ID of this, go back to Studio and find out which side that is, either by just like looking at it. Like, let's see, I need to have this like swirly looking thing in the like top right, and then it's like the bottom side. So position that as I just described, so like that, so the bottom side would be back here, which would be this side. I don't know which side that actually is. It's going to be either front, back, left, or right. That was not it. If that was front, though, that means that's left. Nope. That means that's right. There we go. Okay. And that's connected smoothly. Okay. I think the reason that's left is because it's like if you were looking from outside the skybox at the front, then that would be the right. Okay, so knowing that this is right, that means this one's going to be the one to the left of it from the perspective of someone inside the box. So that means it's going to be this one. This is going to be back. There we go. This one's going to be opposite of back, and the last one is going to be left. Okay, so there are those IDs. And for future reference, I'm just going to label which ones are those for here. So now I want to take this information and put it into a skybox changer. So let's duplicate that, and I'll put it roughly where it's going to go, just somewhere over here. I'll position it exactly later. Let me go to its lighting configuration, and then basically just copy-paste these in. Now I'm going to go back to here and press Ctrl-Z a bunch of times. Oh, wait. It's going to delete the script because it's going to undo the duplicating of that. Here's what I'm going to do. Copy and paste that, or copy it, I mean. Do that. It's probably going to kick me out of the script, yeah. But let me go back and set this back to normal. There we go. Now go get the lighting changer again. I mean skybox changer. Go to here, paste in what I had on the other one. Now go take this and put it over there. There we go. All right, and now when you step right there, it will change the skybox to this, which... Mars. Yay! Okay, so you know how about 2 weeks ago a total solar eclipse went across North America? Well, I got the chance to see it in totality. This means that I was in the umbra, which is the darkest part of the moon's shadow, where you see the moon completely block out the sun, in this case for about 4 minutes. I took a picture with my phone. It's not very good, but here it is anyway. It's probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. Solar eclipses are a very cool space phenomenon. And since I'm building Tower of the Planets, I thought I should make a solar eclipse section or something, because planets. Sure, the Earth floor is pretty long already, but whatever. It's not like I have part limit or anything to worry about. This is what will end the Earth floor, and is what we're about to build after I rapid fire some solar eclipse facts at you. Okay, so there are 4 types of solar eclipses. Total, where the moon appears to be larger than the sun and therefore completely blocks out the sun. When the sun is completely blocked out, that's called totality. The path from which you'd see totality is called the path of totality. Annular, where the moon is further away from the Earth, so it appears smaller and therefore doesn't completely block out the sun and instead leaves an annulus or ring. The path from which you'd see the annulus is called the path of annularity. Partial, where the umbra misses the Earth, but the penumbra, which is the larger area where the sun only gets partially blocked, does hit the Earth. If you aren't in the path of totality during a total solar eclipse, you still technically saw a total eclipse, but from where you were it looked like a partial eclipse. Hybrid, where the moon is far away from the Earth for part of the eclipse path, in this area it's annular, and close to the Earth for the other part, in this case it's total. Any given total, annular, or hybrid eclipse is also either central 2 limits, central 1 limit, or non-central 1 limit. If it's central, that means the center of the moon's shadow hits the Earth, and a limit is an edge of the eclipse path. So, most eclipses are central 2 limits, meaning there are 2 edges of the path, and the center of the moon's shadow does hit the Earth. Central 1 limit is where the center of the shadow hits the Earth, but near one of the poles, so there's only one edge or limit of the path. Non-central 1 limit also happens near the poles. It's where the center of the shadow barely misses the Earth, but some of the totality or annularity path still hits the Earth, and that path has one edge. The solar eclipse right before the April 8th one that occurred anywhere on the planet of any type was an annular eclipse on October 14th, 2023, which also went across North America. The next solar eclipse anywhere on Earth is October 2nd, 2024, an annular eclipse mostly over the Pacific Ocean, but also over southern South America. The next total solar eclipse anywhere on the Earth is August 12th, 2026, visible from Greenland and Western Europe. The next solar eclipse of any type visible anywhere in the United States is a total eclipse on March 30th, 2033, with totality only in Alaska. The next total solar eclipse visible from the continental U.S. will be on August 23rd, 2044 in Montana, a little bit of North Dakota, and a very small part of South Dakota. But on August 12th, 2045, a total solar eclipse will go straight across the continental U.S., following a similar path to the total eclipse of August 21st, 2017. Solar eclipses occur in the Saros series, which are series of eclipses following similar paths, where each eclipse in the Saros is about 18 years apart, and each Saros lasts about 1200 to 1300 years. The April 8th, 2024 eclipse is part of Saros series 139. Here's a super awesome visual from Wikipedia that shows all the eclipses of this Saros. This Saros also includes the eclipse of July 16, 2186, the eclipse with the longest totality, almost 7.5 minutes, for several thousand years before and after it. Solar eclipses also occur in semester series, which are eclipses about 6 months apart, and they kind of follow like mirrored paths. Did you get any of that? Hopefully. Anyway, you may be wondering where I saw the total eclipse of April 8th from. Well, the answer is the state of Missouri. So the Earth floor is going to end with a timed section where you gotta race to Missouri before totality hits the state. With the moon above you, you'll then use a launch pad thing to launch yourself to the moon. And by the way, in Tower of the Planets, I'm considering moons to be floor extensions. So after you complete the section for Earth's moon, which won't be that long, that will finally conclude the Earth floor. And I suppose I'll also explain what the OST is going to be for the Earth floor, because that's kinda relevant now. It will be called Earth 289 because 289 is the number of days between and including the day I saw the Colosseum and the day I saw the solar eclipse. The first movement of the song will be around 5 minutes long, called Wonders of the World, using 7 different keys throughout it because 7 wonders. It'll be at a moderate tempo and in 5/4 time. The next movement will be a fast one called Race to Missouri because that's what you're doing in the tower. And finally, Totality, a slower movement that's mysterious because of unexpected jazz chords like the dominant 7 sharp 9 chord. Earth 289 hasn't been composed yet, but it will be the next part of the OST for Tower of the Planets that I'll work on after I finalize some stuff for the OST for the Venus floor, which that's why I haven't posted that on the music channel yet, if you're wondering. So with that, let's get building the solar eclipse section. Okay, so here's the Christ the Redeemer section, using mostly conveyors that goes around this way, and eventually to here where it says this is the end for the time being. What I'm thinking is I kind of want there to be like a troll where you think you're gonna find one of these things, like you'll see this. You know, these things, it's an elevator and that like transitions you to wherever it's teleporting you to. But then it actually sets your walk speed to 0, and there's like a message that appears on screen that says like, actually this isn't the end, haha. Since it's not actually going to teleport you though, that means I'm going to take the part with the particle emitter. This is not a client object, it's just there for like decoration, but let's just put that in place first. Okay, so now I'm going to take just a regular part and give it the same properties as this. Now go over here and put it in place. So you're going to think this is going to like, it's an elevator and it'll take you to the next part, but no it won't. Instead, it's going to do that. Oh, you thought the floor was over? Well, I thought so too, until I had the chance to see the solar eclipse of April 8th, 2024 in totality. You need to race to Missouri, USA before totality hits so you can use a launch pad to reach the moon and continue the tower. The teleporters to each wonder of the world now work in reverse order. Go back to Chichen Itza, the closest location to Missouri, and complete the new section that has opened. You have some number of time that hasn't been decided yet to reach your destination. If you run out of time, your run ends. During that whole time, you can't move or jump, by the way. What I just did was I made this thing can collide false. I put the jump and speed removers here, and the first button here, and then a bunch of other buttons as you go down. And this is an elevator that's flipped upside down with a speed of 1.5. I think there's a way to make a single button do like a whole sequence of those like text box things. So if you know how to do that, please tell me. But for now, I just have them all lined up like that. By the way, if you're wondering how you put the text, you need to go to the button, go find configurations, and timer text. If by default the string value is just empty, but if you want to type something there, it'll show it like that. And to specify how long that message will show, just go to timer and change the value to however many seconds you want it to do that for. Now when it said the teleporters now work in reverse order, that's not true because I need to actually make them do that. This thing's a Skybox changer. It's temporary though, just because like the main one for the floor is gonna be over here, but while playtesting stuff I want to have this closer so I don't have to go back over there a million times. So this is the final button, the one that says you have some number of time to finish the floor. What I'm going to do is duplicate the button and put the new one just below here. Go to timer text and just delete that so it goes back to how that was. Set the timer to however many seconds I want it to be. We'll set it to like 120 for now. I'll most likely change that later. We'll make the button red as well. Not that you can see it, but you'll be able to see the timer, and so I want the timer to be red. Actually, come to think of it, I'm not entirely sure what the best way to make it insta-kill you after a certain amount of time would be. We'll deal with that later, though. For now, let's just move this one off to the side, actually, and just duplicate it, and this is what we're going to do first. This is going to be the button that will make the teleporters work in reverse order. So take button part, and instead just make it some random color I'm unlikely to use anywhere in the tower. Let's go with that color, because it's going to activate invisible things, and it's color-coded. I did a similar thing over here on Mercury as an anti-shortcut. What you could do at one point was, like, shortcut from here straight to the planet, which defeated the purpose of this outside section. Now what happens, though, is there's an invisible button you hit that will activate this teleporter, but the teleporter remains invisible the whole time. And the planet itself is can't collide false, so if you attempt to jump to it ahead of time, you'll just fall through it into the void. What I'm going to do is take the actual teleporter part and put it over this white square and give it a bool value, which will be called button activated. This is going to make it so that it won't do anything until you press the button that is the color of the teleporter. But for that to work how I want it to, I then need to make the teleporter the color of the button. It also already has the invisible ray value, which is going to make it be invisible once you load into the game. I may as well keep it visible in like studio view. I could change it if I wanted to, I guess, but I may as well keep it like that just so I can see it. It'll make my life slightly easier. Now I can take the destination, which is invisible already, and go back to the previous wonder of the world and put this like over here. I won't put it right next to the teleporter. I should probably put something that deactivates these, shouldn't I? Or I could just put an invisible barrier that prevents you from walking there. That might be easier, but the invisible barrier would be button activated too. But I can make it be connected to the same button as this is. So long as that would work for all of them. It would work for this one. You'd go back over here, I'll also deactivate this teleporter. For this one, I'll make it teleport you to like right here. That way it's like you walked off this platform. I guess I could also put an invisible thing here to prevent you from hitting this teleporter. I don't really see a point in doing that since you don't need to go that way anyway, and in fact shouldn't, since that just wastes time pointlessly. You instead just need to walk back this way to here. Here's the teleporter. I could put the thing you get teleported as you go back through, like here maybe, with an invisible wall just blocking that off, so that would work. And that's the last one. This would already be pressed, which would make it so that this is open, and then I'd have the new section open like somewhere out here that you're supposed to go to in order to get to Missouri. Alright, I've done a lot of work off camera. So I got like the teleporters back to work, and I also added this part, that way you don't have to go like back through the main route in order to get up to here, where this is button deactivated, so when you press the button over there, it will allow you to get to this new area here, where this is a speed section where it's supposed to be like you're racing. If you fall here, it's going to teleport you back to over here, and also put water here. Not that it affects the gameplay, but since you go across the Gulf of Mexico, if you go in a straight line from Chichen Itza to Missouri, I figured I should put water here. And so at the end here, you will hit the speed deactivator, and then there's not going to be any parkour in this space. This is just supposed to be like where totality. When the sun gets blocked out, it's not like completely night, but it looks more like it's dusk. So here are some pictures of what it looks like. So with that in mind, that's what I want to do for like the lighting changers here. But first I want to have the like walls here transition to a different color, like a darker blue. If I just use a regular button, it would change like immediately, but since I want it to transition slowly, I'm going to use a morpher button. So basically what I want to do is have morph, so like the starting like part, each of these walls is going to be that. And then new morph is going to be the wall, but a darker color. Now I wanted it to change the color of like all of the walls down this whole path here, but I have to use a different morpher for every part, because like if I just name them all morph and put them here and then duplicate them and then put a bunch of new morphs, like that doesn't really work. It'll put them all in the position, but they'll like all start moving from the location of one of the morphs. It just like won't work the way I want it to. So every wall is gonna have to be a different morpher, and I don't want to put like 100 of those. So I think I'll put the buttons like here, and it'll activate 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth one will like just fade in from being invisible. So 5 buttons. So let's do one at a time. Delete morph, take a wall, control X to cut, go back to here. Inside just the morpher and not the button itself, go paste into it original location. Duplicate this and just move it to the side for a second so I can decide a color I want to use. Put this inside button and name the first one morph and name the second one new morph, and delete this other new morph and make new morph invisible. And now put it back into position, and now go to morph speed and set that to like 10. Okay, so when you press this, it should slowly change color. Yup, it's working very goodly. Okay, so now I need to repeat that for this wall, and the ceiling. Okay, so with these 3 walls and the top done, Now I need to get this wall to work. Now I can't actually have it like just fade in from being invisible and can collide false. Like it has to be like the same transparency throughout and same can collide. So I'm going to duplicate this morpher, but take just the parts of the button and move that over. That way these stay in the same place. That way this is just easier to scale to the position I want. So this is new morph, so that means I'm going to want to position it in the position I want it to end up in. It's also already the color I want it to be, the darker color, because I copied and pasted it from there. Morph is still in this position. This is the lighter blue one that's there to begin with, so let me scale it to the same position. Pretty much my only option is to have it just like move into position from below and hope no one notices, I guess. So it should move into position and change color at the same time. It appears something was in the wrong position though from the start, because that's in the right position. Okay, so I like just positioned it wrong. How many times did I just say position? Now it's probably possible to like jump over that. Yeah, it will be from where I'll put the buttons. So there will be another button that's just gonna be a regular button though that immediately activates an invisible wall right there. Okay, now I want to change the lighting, so let me do that. Let's go ahead and set this number to 10. This is how long it takes to transition to the different lighting. Just before I forget, we'll set brightness to 1. Clock time 0, definitely. Brightness 1, just so it's not like too dark to see anything. So basically what I just set it to do is make it nighttime. I know I said it doesn't look like nighttime, but you won't see like the sky here. And it's like just for the like other lighting, it appears to change as it does that. So far, this is, I like what I'm seeing here. Yeah, okay. Now if you just imagine that with all these, that way it'll also appear darker. Yeah, kind of the way Roblox will like make it look dark like this is kind of what I'm going for. So yeah, that works. I was also considering making it change the color of the grass to a darker color, but seeing everything else in effect here, I will not do that because I think this looks fine. Okay, and the last thing I want to do here is build the eclipse itself. You know, like the sun, but not the sun, but the sun. You shouldn't really be able to see that from back here. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, and that'll sort of direct your attention over here and away from the wall that's definitely not appearing, and you're not supposed to notice it or anything. Okay, let's first make a circle. This is gonna be like the moon, I guess. And then we need to build like the corona around it, which is like the rays. So let me duplicate this and do that. Then go out like a stud. This will first just be like an outline. Okay, that should be good. This isn't the corona, just like an outline. I don't really like it being that big though. I think this should be good as a outline thing. And now I'll build the corona, which is like the rays. Let me try building this with a wedge actually instead of a block. Set that to wedge. There, if I do like this, the right angle of this triangle is right there. So technically these are like not the same length, but since it's like a long line like that, you can't really tell. If I were to try to make it like they were the same length, it would be like that. It just wouldn't really work. So just do that. Just don't tell anyone. Well, actually you can. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Because I can do this and then have some of them rotated the other direction. So like here, the hypotenuse was this side. Here, the hypotenuse is this side. We'll put these in varying lengths as well. And varying widths. That looks pretty good. Except it doesn't really look like that. I mean, there are the rays. They're definitely not that pronounced though. So what I'm going to do is, I think, make these more transparent. These aren't going to be button activated or anything, so that shouldn't cause any problems with doing that. I'm gonna make this a little bit like thicker. It's 0.35 now instead of 0.1, which I had it before. That way I can go in increments of 0.05. Then set my move step to grid to 0.5. Do that, and then make this a little bit more transparent. So I guess 0.1 each time. Actually, that you can't really see that at all. How about 0.3? Hello, why can't I see anything? Oh, there we go. Okay. And I think I also want to add Jupiter and Venus in the sky. So fun fact, Venus actually appears near the sun in the sky at all times, just the way the orbits work out. So you can see it at like sunrise and sunset sometimes, but you can only see it high in the sky during a total solar eclipse, where the sun isn't like completely so bright because sun, and then you can't see it at all. Here's a less good picture my phone took of the totality, but you can see here, there's Jupiter. That also was in the sky. This is like a lens flare thing, so that's nothing. But here is Venus. So basically I'm just going to recreate this minus the lens flare by taking a tiny neon circle and putting it there and there. 0.3 I think should be good. So I'll put Jupiter like over here and Venus over here. Alright, there we go. I moved this to the right a little bit. That way this is like more accurate to the relative positions from that picture I just showed you. But actually this can be moved down a little bit too. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. I'll make it so like the buttons are in the positions and stuff that they're supposed to be. But I will keep the speed activated for a second. That way I can press all that and sort of give you an idea of what this is going to look like. Okay, yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, nice. I like that a lot. See how, like, right here, it just, like, goes, like, much darker in, like, less than a second there, like, much faster than it is, like, otherwise. Terrible explanation. That kind of happens when totality begins as well. It, like, suddenly gets way darker, way faster than it has been for the past, like, 2 hours as the moon begins to cover the sun. I mean, when that happened, I was looking at it through my Eclipse glasses as the sun disappeared, but, you know, I, like, glanced down, like, underneath them for a second. It was, like, 10 times darker than it had been 20 seconds ago. And I was like, wow. Anyway, this temporary sign tells you that it's temporarily like this. Well, actually, it doesn't say it's temporarily like this, but it does say the sign is temporary anyway. And so that will be your teleporter, which will eventually teleport you to the moon, I guess. Yeah, right. It was going to be a launch pad. Okay, I'll get that working another time. But for now, it's going to teleport you straight over here to Mars. You might also notice these rovers I built off camera. It's supposed to be Curiosity and Perseverance, which are 2 Mars rovers that look pretty similar. So I did a little copy pasting. So yeah, I'll get like the timer and stuff for this solar eclipse part to work later. Let me take this button here that says you have some number of time to finish and just move that out of the way because there is no timer at the moment. Because the way I'm going to get that to work is it's going to like press a button, which is going to start like a push box along a conveyor. So, like, it'll slowly move across the conveyor. I'll probably put it on top of here. I guess that makes the most sense. And it'll take 120 seconds in order to press a button that activates an insta-kill. When I did that for the Venus part over here, what I did was I had a button that deactivated it for some number of time. 97 seconds to be exact. But I couldn't do that here because, like, the first time you go in that area is, like, before there's a timer or anything, so that wouldn't really work. But yeah, let's get building the Mars section. This one's going to be a lot shorter than Earth was, probably about the length of Mercury. But this floor is going to use lots of client objects. The Earth floor didn't use many of them, because since all of these wonders of the world, other than this one, were built, like, before the Industrial Revolution and stuff, when, like, machinery became a thing, when the machinery update came out, you know, there wouldn't be, like, conveyors and stuff. So, I mean, I put a few client objects and, like, moving parts and stuff. But, yeah, I didn't put a ton of those. So, this is mostly purist, this gameplay here. But when you get to here, there's lots of conveyors, you know, hence what I just said, since this one was built in 1931 AD, and the Industrial Revolution was in, like, the late 1700s, early 1800s. I'm also going to try to make the Mars floor, like, intense, I guess. Not as in the difficulty, but it'll use, like, tight button timers and spinners and things. This floor is also going to feature a few insta-kills, and you'll gradually see more as you continue the tower from here. I mean, there was an insta-kill here, but I mean, like, just as part of the regular gameplay. And all that is to represent the bringer of war. I'm going to make this a little bit longer also, and move this rover over here so it's more spaced out, nicely looking. Let's also take these reflectance walls, which will sort of make it look like the Skybox. It doesn't look perfect, but it's kind of as good as I'm gonna get, I guess. And so yeah, the like setup of this is gonna be kind of similar to the Mercury floor. But unlike the Mercury floor, Mars is gonna just have one side, not 2 sides. But like the Mercury floor, it will have lots of ice platforms. Not nearly as many as was the case on Mercury side B, though. Okay, so this will give you an idea of what this is gonna look like. Yeah, I like that a lot. So we're gonna start the floor off with a moving part to sort of like raise you up a little bit to the point where you're going to be doing the parkour from. If you just like go close to the ground, you could just like walk across it. That'll kind of defeat the purpose. So we have the 2 positions. It'll go up like this high. That should be good. I think on this floor, the parkour is going to be this color, this like brown color. One thing I do want to try to do is like put like similar jumps together instead of just like random different client objects, like a completely different type of jump every jump. In some places that's okay, but here, you know, I want to put like a few spinner jumps and then a few falling part jumps or whatever. Like, I think probably at some point in this tower there's going to be a section with like a whole bunch of different client objects, like all at once. But yeah, right now I'm putting some spinning parts. Let me try to add variation at the level they're at. Going up a little bit, I guess. Now I want to add variation to the spin speed, so go to the cylindrical constraint, then change the angular velocity. After a few spinning part jumps, there's this part, and this is where the insta-kills are going to come into play. We're going to start with just a simple insta-kill like that. That's pretty easy to jump over. There will also be this that warns you of the insta-kills. If you're wondering how you get an insta-kill, since it's not normally here, well, it's in the bool value that you add to these. So regular kill brick has kills, double damage brick has double, ouch brick has ouch, and insta-kill has insta-kills. Just a bool value named that will set it. We'll throw in a 10 stud wraparound here as well, because why not? Alright, now here's going to be the first of one of the tight button timers. We'll do like 2 or 3 of these throughout the floor. This one will be maybe like 10 seconds. And I think during these button time sections, that's where like the purest style gameplay will be. So actually I want to take this 10 stud wrap I put and move it to here. In its place here, I'm going to put some ice platforms. The ice platforms will look like this, kind of like a pastel blue. I would like them to have reflectance, but that doesn't seem to work on the ice texture. Maybe make it plastic. Yeah, okay, it's apparently doesn't work with that texture. Well, of course we can't forget wall hops. Let's see, I can do this. Since it's button activated, there is like a problem of that if I want to make it different colors so you can see the seams, then it would mess up like the button activated. What I think I'll do is make these ones be the color of the floor, so they're actually not going to be button activated. But should you like run out of time and like the orange platforms deactivate, you'll just like land here on just these with nothing you can do but jump down anyway, so that'll be okay. So long as there's no way to get from here to like the end of the section. Which there shouldn't be because I'm going to make the end of the section be up here, where there's going to be another insta-kill. This one was 0.5 studs tall, this one is 1 stud tall, so much more difficult. I could also put a wraparound here. Let's make it a stick-out wraparound. We'll go like 13 studs tall, that way you can't high jump it. You can still lag high jump it, I guess, but that would take more time, and since you're timed and it's a pretty tight time, you should probably wrap around. So it would be a 3 stud stick out. Yeah, let's angle it too, because why not? Okay, now I want to select all the orange platforms. Like this, I'm going to name them all button activated platform. Click parent, go up here, I can just search button platforms. Or just button, that works. Okay. And I don't need to add like full hide or invert to any of these because I just want them to get activated while this button is activated. Which is the next thing I need to edit. I need to make the timer do something. So currently it's 0, which is infinite time. Let's start by setting it to 30 to get an idea of how long this takes. Okay, so press it. Go, 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 go. Oh, actually you can go straight on top of there. Okay, I'll do something about that momentarily. Okay, that was about 8 seconds. You know what they say. It's not a bug, it's a feature. I'll delete all those. Okay, so you'll wall hop straight up to here. So since that took about 8 seconds, let me set that to 8 and try it again. This jump is kind of annoying here. I'm going to make it smaller, but move it down like 2 studs. Okay, actually we'll go 2 by 2 and rotate it a little bit. But yeah, that's after play testing that several times. Okay, there. So yeah, I like that time amount that you have. I think that works pretty well. And that is going to conclude what we build in this video. I'll put a temporary sign that says this is the end for the time being. But yeah, that should give you an idea of sort of what this floor is going to be like. The main client objects we'll use are spinners. And by the way, universal ones you don't stick to. Not that I know how to actually change that, but for some reason if you make a spinner small enough, you don't stick to it, as is the case for these. So yeah, but if you jump to that, this one is larger, so you do stick to it. So yeah, again, a situation of it's not a bug, it's a feature. I don't think I'll put a sign that says you don't stick to universal spinners. I think you should be able to figure that out, maybe. And I would put it there if it were like later in the floor, but since this is like the second jump, and you can just go back over here if you miss it, I won't put any indication of that, but you'll probably figure it out. Okay, so we're going to end the video by playing everything I built in this video. Although the amount of gameplay that's actually here isn't really that much, but we'll play it anyway. So the Christ the Redeemer section ends like that. Oh, you thought the floor was over? Well, I thought so too until I had the chance to see the solar eclipse of April 8th, 2024 in totality. You need to race to Missouri, USA before totality hits, so you can use a launch pad to reach the moon and continue the tower. The teleporters to each wonder of the world now work in reverse order. Go back to Chichen Itza, the closest location to Missouri, and complete the new section that has opened. Right here, it's going to tell you how many seconds you have, but it doesn't do that at the moment, because there is no timer. Okay, yeah, so you'll land on the teleporter, which takes you back to here. If you'd have done this section, which you will have in an actual run, that would be open, so pretend that's already open. You'd walk across here over to this teleporter, and you could jump to it, and it'll teleport you back to here, where you'd then hit this teleporter, and then you're at the Chichen Itza place. This would be open in an actual run, because you'd have hit this button that's right there. This is now activated also, so you don't have to go back through the section that's like over here, which is how you got to the button the first time you were here. But this area is now open. Also, there are going to be arrows that direct you where to go. There aren't at the moment, though. Then you have the speed section, where if you fall, you get teleported back to there. There's also a conveyor there, so be careful of that. And a few more jumps. Oh, no. Well, actually, when you get to here, if you can jump, like, straight to there, as long as you don't hit the teleporter, which is approximately where the angle of that changes. Okay, so then your walk speed will do that. Eventually, this will happen without you having to manually press all the buttons, but this is going to happen, and it will go dark because total solar eclipse, so cool. The timer is also going to deactivate here once there is a timer, so you can stand around here and observe it, unlike an actual total solar eclipse where you only get to for like a couple minutes. You can step on this teleporter, and that will eventually take you to the moon, because it'll be like the launch pad thing, but for now it takes you straight to Mars. I just added this sign here. Mars, the bringer of war. Even though it would make more sense for the planets to begin with the movement for Mercury, Holst decided to begin his suite with the movement for Mars, because musically he thought it made more sense because it was a good opening. So you start on this moving part, which will take you up to here. You don't stick to the universal parts, so try to stand towards the middle of this one and then time this one correctly, and don't do that. Actually make the jump. Insta-kills ahead, it will warn you, and these are ice platforms also. Then you have this tight-ish button timer. I think each one throughout the floor will gradually have you less time to like complete it, but yeah. Once you do that, you've reached what is currently the end for the time being. So that is going to conclude today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe. The next Tower of the Planets building video is going to be the asteroid belt that's between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. So that's basically going to be like a longer outside section between the planets. So with that, thanks for watching, and have a great day.